We are back for another Sisters Scoop this week, and we're going to kick it off with something that has been kind of taking social media by storm since it's come out, and for all the wrong reasons, I would say. And that is Madam Web pretty much tanking at the movie theater. And I mean, I don't know how much we're going to have to get into this. If you guys have been sticking around with us for the past roughly week, we've done our reactions episode. It is out. You can hear, especially me, go pretty ham on my lack of thrill and love for this movie. But it's not just us, guys. It's almost everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tomato meter speaks for itself. I mean, between the critics and the actual audience score, I mean, it's rough. It didn't even open at number 1 this weekend, even with it having the extra technically couple of days because it came out on Wednesday with the holiday weekend, President's Day here in the US. And it just absolutely took a nosedive. I mean, some of the articles I was reading were saying, like, it's going to be a miracle if it even breaks even, just on production costs, let alone the actual cost of marketing it. So the all up costs, I mean, wow. And then you have Dakota Johnson out there being a chaos monger and basically ripping her own movie a new one, and or at least distancing herself as far away as she can from this film. And I love that woman. Utter respect.
Well, yeah, she's been quite the person on her press tour.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, putting aside the movie just being bad, and again, we did all of that during our reactions episode. I'm not really sure we need to go into that any further. But first off, what was the choice with not just a Wednesday release, but a Valentine's Day release date? Like, to this day, there was no romance in the movie to even somewhat be like, oh, this could be justified. No, like, nobody had a love interest. I'm not sure how we got that thought process, but I'm sure that definitely couldn't have been helping when you release a movie on a Wednesday. I mean, I told the tale. I was the only one in my theater for a good bit, and then a couple joined me. There were 3 of us and an entire theater on opening night for Madam Web. Like, that's saying something.
Yeah, I think my theater had maybe 10 to 15 people. I live in New York City. You don't go anywhere with only 10 to 15 people in New York. I mean, it was bad. But I think we are pretty much, this is all we've got to say. I mean, if you haven't heard our reactions, definitely listen to it. But I tried to be a little nicer because I try to be, a little bit more moderate. But yeah, we definitely were not thrilled with this film. And if the results are anything to show, neither was the 5 people who also saw it with us. Moving into our second topic, which is much, much more exciting and also a little bit of a surprise last week, given all of the other news that came out, which is that we finally have a date for the reboot or the coming back of X-Men 97, which I'm not going to lie, like, that trailer brought me back very much to childhood and all of that. So very excited. March 20th is the date. It's going to be 10 episodes. We don't yet know, or at least I couldn't tell definitively if they're going to drop it all at once or if they're going to do a weekly release. So more to come on that. And of course, we'll be covering. So we'll let you know exactly what style of coverage we're going to do and the cadence there. But super excited. And now I'm going to have to go back and watch all 70 something episodes of the original. So I remember what happened.
Yeah, I was just about to say, are they connecting it to the original? Okay, so they are.
Yeah. If you saw the trailer, it's actually like so I don't remember this because I watched it sporadically as a child, and also that was 15 years ago when I was watching it.
At least.
Yeah. But they end it with Professor X dies in the show, and then this show comes back with them reeling after his death and, continuing the X-Men after he is no longer alive. So It is very much like a next season to this show. So get ready, folks. Start your rewatches now. Hopefully they're like the 23-minute episodes because it was like Sunday morning or Saturday morning cartoons. So you can kind of rip through them. But definitely start now because we've got just about a month.
Hey, that's exciting. And let the record show, I'm sure I've watched them, but I was probably 6. So I don't really remember anything. And to your point, we definitely were watching them sporadically because they were never on continuously and like one storyline led directly into the next one. So I don't remember anything. I'm definitely going to have to be spending some time watching the cartoon and catching up, but I'm excited. I mean, this is so awesome. It's bringing us back. It's bringing, I'm sure, a lot of others back to their childhood. And it's just going to be a fun, kind of different thing from what we've been getting. Don't get me wrong. We love a good live action. We adore the live action, and we're only here because of live action content. But you just, you can't sometimes pass up the opportunity to go for nostalgia. And right here is a great one. And I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, and I mean, to really dive in on the X-Men in a real way in the MCU, we've only gotten glimpses at best or tragic deaths at worst when it comes to X-Men in the MCU. And obviously, we're getting Wolverine later this summer, and that's going to be a huge moment in live action. But I love that we're kind of ramping up the excitement with bringing back such a beloved property that, to your point, a lot of people knew when they were kids. And now we're going to get to really see them in animation, and then hopefully we'll see how that plays out in live action. From a multiversal standpoint, unclear if this is, the animated version of the team that we're going to see when we do come into live action, or if we're living in a different universe. I mean, I don't remember enough of the show slash didn't watch it often enough as a kid to even remember, if there were cameos from other characters and things like that. So that's another thing that I'll definitely be checking out when I'm rewatching is who else is there? What are the signs? Can we tie this into our universe and what we know, or are we gonna, be in a very different one? But that's from a totally different future meta standpoint. But still, super excited. March 20th, mark your calendars because we're gonna be all over it.
Oh, yeah. And that brings up a good point. I will say, who knows? I mean, it actually could be a pretty cool move if Marvel makes this our, future X-Men. Because at the end of the day, remember, like we said, we are only part of a whole group of people who have watched these growing up. That would actually make these technically timeline order outside the MCU, as in how they came out, it would be one of the first properties of the MCU if they were to do that. So that would be kind of cool. Of course, they don't have to. It could be totally different and we'll still eat it up. But the last thing for this week's Sister Scoop is huge and I'm excited for it. I've been waiting for this moment. Henry Cavill has officially been signed on to a Marvel contract that he is in the MCU. We don't know what character he is playing, and I know a lot of people for many years, I think, have been saying Captain Britain. I'm actually against that. I'm pro Cyclops, which I've been seeing a lot of on Twitter. I think he would be an awesome Cyclops. And thinking about what we have coming up, I don't see the need for a Captain Britain versus we need a Cyclops in the MCU because we are getting the X-Men. I think he'd be super cool. What are your thoughts?
Well, first, I don't think I realized that it was like confirmed because I was hearing people saying, "Oh, it's reported," and it does seem more tangible than in the past. Like everybody's been throwing around, to your point, the Captain Britain for years, but I don't think I understood that it was like, "Oh, he's got a role now." Either way, I'm thrilled. If this is just a strong rumor that really has a lot, a decent basis in fact, or if it's 100% confirmed, that part I'm not clear on. Either way, I'm happy. I think I too am moving away from the Captain Britain. I know he said that that's a role that he would want, and I definitely respect that. But I think, and you're going to hate me for this, but I think Peggy and Captain Carter has kind of filled that role, right? She's kind of an amalgamation between Captain Britain and Captain America, right? That's kind of how they've evolved that character over time. So he would be a little redundant to me in that character to bring him in. The role that I've been seeing actually in the articles that I almost fell off my chair, Doctor Doom.
I He was the third one I didn't mention. Because I think the other two I've been seeing the most, and then I've been seeing Doctor Doom sprinkled in there. And I didn't mention Doctor Doom. I've said before my heart goes to Cillian Murphy for this role. I just think he's just that type of actor. And I also just think he can bring this uncomfortable darkness, but also this really like you love to hate him kind of vibe. And I think that's Doctor Doom in a nutshell. I've seen what he did as Scarecrow, loved that. Would I be against Henry Cavill? No, but I haven't seen him yet. Like, I can't see him with the acting chops yet to be able to pull off a role like that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it because it's so hard to go from, in my opinion, like Superman, like the
Right.
emblem of like freedom and justice, in pretty much all of comics. Like I'm not Marvel rose colored enough to be able to deny that. That just is what it is, right?
Right.
But I do think there's actually something really interesting about him stepping away from the Superman mantle to go to such an iconic villain. And from a selfish standpoint, the idea of him acting across from Pedro Pascal in the very intimate way that Doctor Doom and Reed Richards have that relationship. I mean, come on. Like I'm getting really excited just thinking about it.
Well, leave your excitement there. We're going to have to wrap up. We're a little bit over on this week's Sister Scoop, but those are the big news points that are coming out this week. Join us next week once again for another round of 3 more big topics. And make sure you guys are subscribing so you get every episode of Sister Scoop on YouTube.